after the celebration dig, we obviously, the house gets dug, finally get to see the kind of foundation come to life. And then what we, have backfill stage, we move on to framing. But then following framing is kind of when it gets exciting again. You got to invite the client back on site. They've, I'm sure, already been on site a few times by that point to kind of check on progress. But that's really like that next milestone meeting where you invite the client on site.
Yeah.
Kind of what happens, what goes down at that meeting.
And we're calling that the mechanical walk, right? So we get the whole house framed. Not every scenario ends as good as we'd like it to, with the windows installed already in the home and the roof on, right? Because you don't, depending on the weather of the day that you have a mechanical inspection installed, whether it's the raining, hot and sunny, middle of the winter, middle of the summer, when you're doing these mechanical walkthroughs. But that is a key point, because we go from digging the foundation until the house is framed. And a lot of the people have a hard time envisioning, when we're digging the hole, what this giant framed structure is going to look like. And so the time spent between that phase and our mechanical walks, when the homeowners, if they even haven't seen the house in a while and they show up, they're just like, wow, the size and the scale of this place, it didn't look like it's going to be, this high, high end, or this large, when we were looking at it on the blueprint or on the rendering. So, and that process, it might take some time to get from the digging of the foundation to the mechanical walk, but that mechanical walk, like Kevin mentioned, is another giant milestone. So we get the whole place framed. We get all of the trades that are involved in the mechanical aspect of the home all scheduled to be there on the same day, which is sometimes quite the feat to do, to get everybody there, and the homeowners themselves. So on the mechanical walk day, we might be there for 3 to 6 hours. It all depends on the size, the scale, and the complexity of the build, how much detail is going into it. And we're walking through the electricals and laying that out, the plumbing and the cabinetry, the door rough openings and the swings of the doors, and all everything you'd think of that's going into the house, just about, except for the final decorations and paint and stain colors, because those are further down the road. But that mechanical walk is our second giant milestone.
Yeah. And then obviously, after the mechanical walk, there's a ton of work that the refined design team winds up doing, because at the mechanical walk, we're talking about, hey, you selected these cabinets. How do we want to uplight them? What do all these different details that we're discussing, and then following that, it's kind of their job to get with all our trade partners and figure out any additional pricing or things like that to make sure that we can put a full scope of work together and get the guys out there in the field promptly after the mechanical walk to kind of rock and roll with things. From a mechanical standpoint, like, it's an exciting part in the process, right? And that's when you're really seeing everything go in, but it's also the point where you're kind of same shell that you're seeing during that process. What else is kind of going on? Is there exterior work that's being started, or what else is happening during that phase?
Usually at that time, the concrete guys are probably starting to, pour the garages and porches at that time. We try to pour our basements early, doing open pours before we put
when we can.
the floors on, but in the wintertime kind of makes it difficult. But usually we're doing that, and usually the bricklayer is about to be starting, so that's usually the time when they're gonna start that, if they got any brickwork going on. And then with the bringing up the mechanicals again too, it's kind of nice to do it because our mechanical trades are there, and they will give their ideas on, they'll walk the house. I see it all the time. Like, the electrician will look up and be like, oh, I think you should add a couple can lights here. I think it's going to be dark in this area. So it's nice to get their expertise on that.
Yeah, and a lot of those trade partners that we're mentioning that are at these mechanical walks with us, they're guys that have worked with us for
a long time.
Like electricians been with us probably 30 years since my dad started the company, right? And our flooring guy, we've been working with him forever. Our HVAC guys, we've been with them for a long time. So it's like this core group of guys that we have. So it's always those same guys, that we're used to working with, and they know our product and they know our expectations, and we work, well for the clients together.
And that's actually too, when I see a lot with the refined design team, they'll come in and this is usually the first time they're seeing it in person.
Yeah.
So they're always coming up with ideas during the walk, and I feel like they're always doing some kind of changes with what they're gonna do in each room and stuff.
For the selections aspect.
No, it's definitely like an exciting turning point in the project.